Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunamilitan Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yam Pravajantam Anupeta Apeta Krityam Rapayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tan Maitaya Tarvo Binedus Tam Sarvabhutam Hridayam Munimanitosmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Bhaktya Vihina Parada Lakshay Kiptascha Kamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Tavevasmi Najivami Tvayavina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So we are going to begin by offering our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padma Nitya Leela Pavishta Om Vishnu Pad Asto Tarsat Sri Srimad Abhaya Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and to Sri Guru Pada Padma Nitya Leela Pavishta Om Vishnu Pad Asto Tarsat Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Raj, unto our exalted Upanu Guru Varga and all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Okay, so today we are going to begin hearing about Srimati Radhika. Today's Friday. We're going to be honoring, celebrating her appearance on Sunday of next week. So that gives us 9 days, right? 9 days. And we have this extraordinary book called Sri Radha Our Supreme Shelter. I believe this is compiled as lectures and articles from Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj and other of our acharyas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, and our own Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. But I'm going to begin in the order of the way the book was printed. And the second article, I think is most appropriate to begin with. It's called Vrishabhanu Nandini by Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And it's a very broad, extensive, very interestingly detailed article about Radha Tattva. And I think for some of you, you've never heard some of these things. And if you have, it'll be even more relishable to hear them again, because it's very nicely presented in sequence. So he begins, let's see, make sure I've got this camera on right, just a moment. Yeah, it looks good, okay. And we've got Nityananda and Taruni and Madhuri and Amal Krishna from India, okay. So it's a pretty long article. All right, oh gosh, I wish I could make this bigger. If I move this, what's going to happen with the camera? That's good. It's good. Okay. All right. In Vaidhi Bhakti, or devotional service, following the prescribed rules and regulations, worship of the deity, in other words, Archan, is prominent. All right? In Vaidhi Bhakti, worship of the deity is prominent. Note down these very authentic points. Someone may be serving Radha and Krishna, performing archan to them, and so forth. But even though that person is performing his worship in accordance with Vaidhi Marg, in other words, the path of regulations, he will not go to Vaikuntha. Where will he go? And by Vaikuntha, he means the planets other than Goloka Vrindavan, the planets of Lord Narayan. So if you're performing Vaidhi Bhakti, which normally leads you to Vaikuntha, the Vaidhi Bhakti performed mostly by other sampradayas, very strict rules and regulations. But if you're a devotee of Radha and Krishna and you're performing Vaidhi Bhakti, where will you go? If he is liberated and has become perfect, then he will go to that part of Goloka where there is opulence and Svakya Bhav. That means where Radha and Krishna are actually married. There is no Parakya, unwedded, amorous pastime there. It is like Vaikuntha, where there is so much opulence and where there is Svakya Bhav. In that part of Goloka, the devotee serves reverentially like this. And like this, Gurudev in his lecture went like that. You might have probably transcribed this in one of the books.
This is the exact lecture Jagmohan Maharaj is speaking on in the evening.
Spoke when?
The last couple of evenings.
Oh, really? Great. Good to hear it again. Good to hear it. This is very filled with interesting tattva. So they will address Radha and Krishna by saying, "Oh Prabhu," just how one addresses Lakshmi and Narayan. But since they are worshipping Radha and Krishna, they are not in Vaikuntha. They are in that part of Goloka that is on the boundary or perimeter of Braj Mandal, Gokul, or Vrindavan. Right. I remember hearing about this years ago, just very briefly, maybe 1975, but no details. And right, and actually, there's a part in the Bhagavatam where Krishna shows the cowherd men, the impersonal Brahman, and also a place in Goloka Vrindavan, but he shows them this Goloka Vrindavan, where they see Radha and Krishna sitting on a throne, and the cowherd men have to be back a little bit. They can't approach Krishna and be intimate with him. And so they witness all this reverence and distance, and they don't like it. It's uncomfortable for them. And so they come back. They don't want to be there. So that's, in other words, this is a little background to help us understand that the path to Braj Bhumi, the place of Radha and Krishna's pastimes that we're always reading about, that requires Raganuga Bhajan. In order to enter into that place and cultivate the appropriate kind of bhav, you have to cultivate Raganuga. Right? Is it? What did we quote yesterday? What is it? I'm going to continue to read and then the shloka will come in a little bit. Those who are performing the archan of Radha and Krishna on the path of Raganuga, spontaneous love, however, will go to Vrindavan, the very heart of Goloka, where they will serve Radha and Krishna Jugal in Unnata Ujvala Ras, the topmost brilliantly radiant love. Right? Oh, Tanamarupa Charitari Sukirtananu Smrityo Kramena Rasana Manasini Yoja Tishtan Vajay Tad Anuragi Jananugami. What is the last part? Kalam Nayad Yat Upadesha Saram. That Rupa Goswami says that the topmost activity, the essence of all advice, is that one should chant the holy name of the Lord continually in Braj, right? And should be in Braj under the guidance of eternal associates of Krishna. And in the sadhana stage, it means to be in Braj, either physically or mentally, under the guidance of self-realized personalities who are themselves worshipping internally Radha and Krishna and following very specific devotees. Right? You have to, Raganuga means not only an awakening of spontaneous attraction to serve, right, just by hearing about Krishna's Leela, but you're also attracted to serve under the guidance of very specific devotee or devotees. Remember in Jaiva Dharma when both Vijay Kumar and Brajanath first reveal their hearts to Babaji Maharaj and about the awakening of their particular devotion, they cite a service, but they also cite someone that they particularly want to serve under. That has awakened in their heart. So Brajanath, he felt particular attraction to Subal and serve as a cowherd boy under him. And Vijay Kumar felt an attraction to serve under the direction of Lalita Saki, right? And very specific kind of service, which in his case was making garlands, right? So Raganuga means that there's no scriptural rule or regulation that motivates your service. It's just about hearing about Krishna's pastimes alone awakens your spontaneity. And we try to cultivate that in our own practice, even though we're only very preliminary stage of Vaidhi Bhakti, right? We might think like that on the Kanishta level. Nevertheless, we can cultivate that spontaneity by serving our guru and trying to be enthusiastically spontaneous. And by spontaneous, I don't mean whatever comes to mind. I mean to what you see, oh, this is needed to do, that is needed to do, let me do it, right? Not necessarily because it's some rule and regulation, but because this is Mahaprabhu's movement, we're under the guidance of such a great line, I'm in the midst of so many wonderful devotees, we're trying to do this and that, let me do this service. And you cultivate enthusiasm like that, and what does Krishna say? He says, Yayatamam prapadyante, I will reciprocate with you. Even though it's just a shadow of real enthusiasm, it's very important. It's very important to not just do your duty, I must do my duty. No, you want to do your seva, of course, but you also want to embrace the culture of seva with enthusiasm and happiness, right? There's the activity and then there's the mood that is underlying the activity, right? So rather than, what would you say? Not reluctantly, maybe reluctantly, just doing it. Okay, I got to get up, I got to do this, got to do that. All right, I'll do it. No, carpe diem, seize the day, seize the moment. Be happy. And when you're not happy, pretend you're happy. If you're not enthusiastic, pretend you're enthusiastic. And that will come up. It will come up. Even in mundane physiology and biology, if you're unhappy, they say, smile, right? And they say things like, to frown takes 26 facial muscles, but to smile only takes, 4, 5, 6. But also the act of smiling produces hormones or, little things in the brain that actually help cultivate that real mood, right? So they have all kinds of little silly songs about that, right? Put on a happy face, right? So, those who are performing the archan of Radha and Krishna on the path of Raganuga, however, will go to Vrindavan, the very heart of Goloka, where they will serve Radha Krishna Jugal in Unnata Ujjvala Ras, the topmost brilliantly radiant love. And those who worship Radha and Krishna, but not in the mood of this Unnata Ujjvala Ras, and not under the guidance of any gopi, will go to Mathura or Dwarka in Goloka. What will they do there? They will serve like Satyabhama, who is a manifestation of Radhika. Such persons will serve Satyabhama and Krishna there. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has kindly explained all these truths, and one aspiring to practice Raganuga should know them, right? You should also know that Goloka consists of 3 places. 1, Vrindavan, Gokul, and Braj. These are 3 names of the same place, same category. 2, Dwarka, and 3, Kurukshetra and other places. Srimati Radhika also has three aspects. She is the same Radhika in all three, but her mood is somewhat different. These aspects are Vrishabhanu Nandini, Radhika Viyogini, and Radhika Samyogini. Now, this lecture was given in 1998 in Australia. So this is a time when Srila Narayan Maharaj was first introducing these deeper conceptions to the Western world. So who is Vrishabhanu Nandini? Srimati Radhika is always with Krishna, always. They are never separate, although a mood of separation is sometimes there when Srimati Radhika is in Man, her mood of jealous anger, or when Krishna goes cow herding, or when Radhika feels prem vaichitya, separation from Krishna even when they are together. So Man does create separation because they're very close to each other, but her mood will keep them apart. So why does she do that? If she always wants to be with Krishna, and Krishna always wants to be with her, why would she show Man? Because that Man increases the intensity of their desire to be together and makes it even more relishable when they do get together, because it creates urgency, and in some cases, it will create in Krishna a sense that, oh, how am I going to overcome her angry mood? And he'll create some very clever way to do this. So many pastimes like that, right? And they're especially sweet. Like when Radhika's in Man, she won't see Krishna, and he pretends to be a Brahmin boy. And they worship at Surya Kund every day, and so Krishna, he will chant the mantras, right? Pretend to be a Brahmin, and then they recognize, oh wait, this isn't a Brahmin, because Krishna will chant all these nonsense, so-called Sanskrit shlokas, and they hear them doing this, and it's kind of gibberish, but it's very clever gibberish, and it delights the hearts of all the gopis, and they go, oh, and they laugh, oh, that Krishna, and then they laugh and the man is broken. Or another time, when she's in the house, right, and Jatila's there, and they can't be together, and Krishna again comes as a Brahmin boy. And on that pretext, he could go straight to the door. Ordinarily, Jatila would not let him anywhere near. But she says, oh, there's a Brahmin boy outside, and instructs her daughter-in-law, Radhika, give him some charity. So she prepares the plate with rice and different auspicious ingredients. And then she goes to the door, and then she sees Krishna. And he's dressed up like a Brahmin. And she says, I am giving this to you, O Brahmin. And he says, oh, actually, I don't want this charity. The only charity I want is your embrace. And then she realizes, oh, this is Krishna. And then she says, smiles at him and takes it and dumps it all on his head, right? Which gives him tremendous pleasure. It gives them both tremendous pleasure. But these are the plays of emotion that separation is part of meeting, and it's also part of creating wonderful, clever pastimes. And this prem vaichitya, this is when her prem, it reaches such a height that even though it means like in madness, the opposite. So she's sitting on Krishna's lap like at Prem Sarovara, and when Madhu Mangal chases away the bumblebee and comes back and says, oh, I've chased Madhusudan away, he'll never return. She takes that literally, oh, Madhusudan means bee, but it's also an affectionate name for Krishna, right? And so when she hears that, she thinks, Madhu Mangal has gone, my Krishna's gone, he'll never return. And even though she's sitting on Krishna's lap, she's plunged into the deepest separation. And Krishna's looking at her in amazement, seeing that mood, even though, right? So it means the opposite, right? Her mood is so strong that not only does she get plunged into that separation, Krishna himself and all their friends, they all go into such a deep mood, and their love turns into that beautiful lake, that Prem Sarovara that we sometimes go to. So cow herding, it's brief, by Man, and by extraordinary circumstance like Prem Vaichitya. But this is Vrishabhanu Nandini, right? This is the form of Radhika in Vrindavan. So they're together only at these times, but Krishna and Radhika are always together, so Vrishabhanu Nandini never feels separation. That means that extended separation, like that pravas when Krishna goes to Dwarka, right? This is Nitya Leela, eternal pastimes. Nitya Leela continues from one morning to the next, from the Shanta Leela, the early morning pastimes at the end of night. That's what we do at Mangalartik. Most of you don't know that, probably never heard of it, not going to Mangalartik. But that's the beginning of the Ashtakaliya Leela, right? And so for those who really want to advance in Raganuga, at one point, we will also have to, or we get to, perform our service in a mood of internal remembrance of all the different pastimes in sequence throughout the day. There's a kram, there's an order of that. And it's very advanced bhajan. But how do you get to the advanced stage? By practicing now, right? So when you go to Mangalartik, you go and you're tired and you're thinking, okay, as soon as it's over, I'm going to take a nap. Oh, I'm hungry. Oh, why is he singing like that? The mridanga player's off. They're singing out of key. Whatever all the crazy things going through your mind. But instead, you go to that beautiful Mangalartik and you see, and you force your mind, oh, how beautiful are Radha and Krishna. How fortunate I am to be here at this time. How merciful are my gurus, our beautiful disciplic succession that they have introduced this. And out of 350 million people in America, right? How many are able to go to Mangalartik? And out of the 8 billion in the world, how many are going to Mangalartik? This is so rare. Do they go to Mangalartik on the heavenly planets? Certainly not on the hellish planets. This is so, so rare. Oh, and by the way, look how beautiful they are. Look how nicely they're dressed. Oh, and there's flowers, and it's all so splendid. And then maybe you can begin to think, oh, thank you, Gurudev. Oh, Radha and Krishna, oh, Lalita, oh, Vishaka, oh, Rupa Manjari, oh, Rata Manjari. Please, please give me the qualification to truly enter into your service in this way. If you really want to understand it even more, you read a book like Vilap Kushmanjali and hear the verses of Raghunath Das explaining his own deep emotions during these pastimes at different parts of the day. One day we'll be doing it, and it's not too early to think about it. It's too early to think that you're actually in that. But I remember, one morning walk, and Gurudev says, oh, what's Krishna doing now? And everybody's looking at their watch. Oh, what's he doing now? Trying to remember what was that part of the day, right? And so when you're cooking, oh, all right, let's see, it's 10 o'clock. I guess he's already left. He's out there in the pastures with the cowherd boys. They're going to be hungry. Mother Jashoda sends lunch. We're cooking lunch for Radha and Krishna, right? And throughout the day, whatever you're doing, you could think like that. In the afternoon, you're hauling wood and doing this and that. And Krishna's swinging on the vines with his cowherd boyfriends, playing in the water. He might be sneaking out and going to Radhakund to meet with the gopis. All these things go in the afternoon. Oh, and then when it's getting towards evening, now they're headed back, right? Oh, it's Goduli time. The dust from the cows is coming up. The sun's turning a little reddish from that dust. Every part of the day you can think like that, right? So, in Vrindavan, that Nitya Leela is that. And he's going to explain there are none of the pastimes that take place in this Bhoma Vrindavan, the earthly Vrindavan. None of the pastimes that involve him growing up from babyhood to his full-bloomed youth, the extended separation, the killing of demons, like that. But he's going to explain it. So, Vrishabhanu Nandini, always with Krishna in that Vrindavan. So he goes on to explain there are three loks or manifestations of the Dham. The first is Prakat Dham, where the Dham and its pastimes fully manifest in this world. Prakat means manifest, right? The second is Aprakat Leela, or Aprakat Leela Stala. That's the spiritual world where Krishna and Radha performed. Aprakat means not manifest to us. It's up there, but we can't see it. Their Nitya Leela, Aprakat Leela Stala, where Radha and Krishna perform their Nitya Leela eternal pastimes. And the third is Drishyaman Dham, which is the Vrindavan on earth that we see now. At the present time, we cannot see Krishna and Radha, and we cannot see their pastimes. What are we seeing? Who are we seeing? Because we are covered by Maya, we cannot see any pastimes. But we can hear of their pastimes and then understand, for example, that this is the same Govardhan that was lifted by Krishna. And this is the same Jamuna as in Krishna's pastimes. This is called Drishyaman, the present vision of the Dham. So we see a Jamuna. Of course, we don't see the Jamuna as it is transcendental, but it's at that place. And we can see Govardhan, and we can see, Radhakund and all those. We don't see them in their full transcendental glory, but if we go to those places and hear the pastimes from authorized sources, right, authentic, there's a great power by being in the Dham and visiting those places and hearing these pastimes. And there, we can pray to the creepers, we can pray to the dust, we can pray to the pastime places themselves, and to the residents who we can't see. Please give me your mercy. Make me qualified so that one day I can see you as you are and thus serve you as you are. In the meantime, I'll try to serve as best I can. Right? Awaken a little bit more of that, spontaneity. Let me serve, let me serve, let me serve. So what is Prakat Dham? When Krishna descended with all his associates, Brajadham also descended from Goloka Vrindavan. Although both Prakat Dham and Aprakat Dham are one and the same, and there is no difference between them, on the other hand, there is a difference. At the time of Krishna's Prakat Leela, when he descended to this world and played here, Jogamaya connected this earth to that transcendental pastime place in the spiritual sky. At that time, the beauty of that place, Vrindavan Dham, was so glorious. And all those who were Nitya Siddha, that means the eternally liberated, and Sadhan Siddha, they are liberated through spiritual practice, could go there and see Radha and Krishna. And those who were practitioners, the sadhaks, as well as those who had attained bhav, could also go there. Right, in that Prakat Dham, during Krishna's Leela, there were, of course, the eternally perfected persons. At that point, whether you're Sadhan Siddha or Nitya Siddha, it doesn't matter. You're now Siddha, right? So there's no question of time. We just use that for our own reference. But also, during Krishna's Leela, there are many, many, many who are going there to reach their final perfection. Before you can go to the spiritual realm, you have to go there in your spiritual form that you've been cultivating in your bhav, sadhan, and there, perhaps as a cowherd boy, perhaps as a gopi, right? Perhaps as a friend of Mother Jashoda Nanda, or as like a Pulinda tribesperson, right? Or maybe you're living in Mathura and coming back and forth a little bit. There are all kinds of persons who get the opportunity to meet with Krishna and achieve full perfection at that time. The wives of the Brahmanas, the Pulinda girls, right? newly arrived gopis, right? Or very special like the personalities that Lord Ram saw in the forest, the personified Upanishads, or the Munis, Municharas and Shruti-charas, or the young princesses in Ayodhya, queens that were kidnapped by Balmasura. So many personalities got the opportunity to meet with Krishna and go to Vrindavan, or in some cases, Dwarka. Another difference is that although Vrindavan here in this world is the same as the Transcendental Dham, because our eyes are material, being covered by Maya, or in other words, because Yogamaya has covered the Dham, we cannot see it. On the other hand, a very high-class devotee sometimes gets a glimpse of that apricot lila. Right? High-class devotees can sometimes be absorbed in seeing very specific pastimes going on right before their eyes. And they may fall to the ground, stunned, or they may try to cover their emotions and we'll only see them unable to speak, or tears coming from their eyes, their voices choked up. But they can actually see the reality. Remember when Nityananda Prabhu was taking Jiva Goswami around Navadvip during Parikram, many times when they would stop at a place, they would see some pastime. Mahaprabhu and associates would manifest before them and do the pastimes of those places. Right? And the same with Vrindavan Parikram. Great personalities will go to a place and actually see what's going on. I know our Srila Prabhupada had that experience. There's some confidential stories about him revealing that to a small extent. He kept these things more covered, but it was there. It was there. So, apricot lila, that's that Drishtaman Dham. The lila is unmanifest before us, so it's like apricot, because we're not seeing that. We're seeing hogs and motorcycles and snakes and all kinds of things there, thorns that stick our feet. So many things are going on that that's our version. However, the real Dham is there, and we should always treat it with that reverence and respect and realize that behind the curtain is an extraordinary place. In that apricot lila, there is no birth pastime of Krishna. So he's talking about in the spiritual realm, there is no, Krishna doesn't take birth. He's always the eternally youthful hero. Abhimanyu, the husband of Radhika, is also not there. And Krishna does not go from Vrindavan to Mathura and Dwarka. Only the mood or conception, the abhiman of such pastimes is there. For example, everyone in Vrindavan has the conception that Yashoda bore a son, Krishna. But there is no janma, no birth pastime in that Vrindavan. Only Navakishore, the Natavara Murti Krishna, is there. Right? That best of dancers. Right? And Radhika is also there. This is the root substance of Vrindavan, apricot. In apricot Vrindavan, there is only an idea that Krishna has gone to Mathura and Dwarka. At that time, the Brajbasis are thinking, oh, this separation is very bad, we cannot tolerate it. Right. Now, I never really understood what they meant, there's only an idea. Does that make that place less than this Boma Vrindavan, where he actually takes birth, and there are demons, and there are husbands? Is there something less? No, because these dhams are non-different. It's just that Krishna's manifesting one place where these pastimes will unfold in a sequence, right? And in the other place, it's like they're fully aware that this happened, right? Now we're imposing our conceptions of past and present and future on that, but you get an idea when you read the Gopal Champu, because there that is taking place in the Goloka Vrindavan, the uppercut, the eternal spiritual world, right? And there, Madhukant and Snigdhakant are narrating Krishna's pastimes, just like the Bhagavatam, from the time he took birth, going to, all the way to Dwarka and back, killing demons, all of that. And much of that doesn't happen up there. But it happens down here. So they all experience it. So when Madhukant and Snigdhakant are narrating, it's like they're going into trance and remembering it. And remembering it, they're experiencing it. Because there's no difference between Krishna's pastimes recited by pure devotees and Krishna himself. We can't perceive it, but it's shown very clearly that they're deeply in meditation hearing these pastimes, and at the end they're sort of brought out from that, experience. So these two are one and the same, and yet they're different to expand and allow pastimes to take place in every way, in complete and full way. In the Prakat Leela, Krishna's pastimes in one of the material universes, these conceptions take a tangible form. In Aprakat Leela, Srimati Radhika thinks, I am married to Abhimanyu. But this is only a mood or conception created by Yogamaya. On the other hand, here in Prakat Leela, that conception takes a shape, and everyone can see that Abhimanyu is the husband of Srimati Radhika. In other words, in this Prakat Dham, in Prakat Leela, everyone can see that Yashoda is giving birth to Krishna. We just went through that this last, week and a half. We heard all about that Krishna Leela, all about his birth, the difference between the birth in Mathura, where he appeared, and the birth in Vrindavan, where he actually took birth as like an ordinary child, right? So everybody saw that in Vrindavan. Not everybody, obviously, but it was seen by the nurses and everyone. There in Aprakat, although there is no birth, everyone thinks that Yashoda has begotten a child and that his name is Krishna. They also have the conception that Krishna has gone to Dwarka, although actually he has not gone. They lament, oh, Krishna is gone. He should not have gone. I am feeling so much separation from him. When they are narrating this in the Gopal Champus, Snigdhakant at the end of it, Nanda Maharaj, he's sitting right next to Krishna. He's on his platform, and Krishna's friends are all on one side, Nanda's friends are on the other, and they're so plunged into that Dwarka Leela and the sense that he's far away that when they finish the narration, they say, oh, Nanda, your son, look, he's right here. Don't be distressed. Right? So they got to relish the intensity of that mood of separation, but then it was calmed by him being there. Right? So that's important to understand, that even though there is not that real separation there, there is that separation there. And it goes to show that separation is important even in that spiritual realm, because it enhances the quality of love. We also say, we always say that separation is the highest experience. So some people would ask, well then why wouldn't we want them to always be separated? Because that way they can experience love in the greatest intensity, right? So Radha and Krishna should always be separated. But no. What kind of person who has love for Srimati Radhika wants to see her separated from Krishna? No, the mood of the servants is to always bring them together. But separation enhances the joy of being together, right? Because then, like if you've lost something very valuable, right? And you looked everywhere, you couldn't find it. And it was something up until then, maybe you kind of took it for granted, I don't know, some personal item, something somebody gave you, and finally I give up, I lost it. And then after some time, maybe even years later, they give it to you. Oh, look, I found this in the basement under this or that. Oh, oh, I lost this so long ago. And it gives you a special joy. That's an inanimate object. Imagine the joy of meeting. Separation is important, right? But the joy is bringing them together after separation. And then that meeting and the happiness of it exceeds the pleasure that the separation created. Because everything is always increasing in that Vrindavan. Love is always increasing. And then they would become separated again. That mood is even more powerful than that last meeting they had. It's always growing, always expanding. And the two are two parts of the same whole. So, similarly, there's no Kamsa in Apricot. There's only the idea of him. The Brajbasis think, oh, if Krishna goes to Mathura, he will fight with Kamsa and Chanura and Mustika. There really is no Chanura or Mustika there. Only the idea is there, as created by Yogamaya. But that idea is a reality, and it manifests in this Prakat Leela, right? But Yogamaya retains that idea and mood in their hearts. Idea created by Yogamaya. In Prakat, however, these conceptions have taken solid shape and have become Chanura and Mustika, Kamsa, Jarasandha, and so on. And in different appearances, there'll be different jivas that take on those roles, right? To be killed and then to be liberated. Only a realized person whose bhajan has come to the stage of bhav can understand these truths. I am giving it an outline only for those who want to advance, for those who have no worldly desires, and for those who are always thinking of these subject matters. I am telling all these things in order to help them. This is called association. So, Srila Narayan Maharaj is talking to the audience, and he's saying, this may not be what you want to hear. This may not be what you're qualified to hear. I'm only speaking this, right, for people who want this. I'm planting this seed. And if you want to advance, right, and if you're overcoming your worldly desires, and you're always trying to meditate on these subject matters, I'm telling this for you. Right? This is called association. And so for the rest of everybody else, perhaps this will be planted and it will grow, and then at some point in your life, hopefully, it will begin to sprout and manifest in these qualities. What is the desire to advance? It's lolyam, right? It's eagerness. Tatura lolyam, apimulyam ekalam. Right? This is the price. Ramananda Roy says, you got to cultivate this greed. And so, if you don't have the greed throughout the day, at least have the greed in the class, right? I'll tell you, this is something that happened to me, and it's not really confidential. I can share it to you. But when I've told you how when Gurudev told me to take sannyas, right? And then he always has a little meeting beforehand where he sits you in front of him, other sannyas candidates, and other devotees are around to make sure that you're ready and you're qualified. Are there any objections, right? Are there any anarthas that we have to overcome? Perhaps we'll delay this another year, all like that, right? And so I was thinking, this came out of the blue, right? I'd only joined full-time 8 months before, and I had no way wanted sannyas. Right? But I'd been in Kartik, in Vrindavan for Kartik 4 months before, 5 months before, and we're hearing many classes of Gurudev, right? Every night, every morning. And there was one class in particular we were speaking about developing this greed, these high concepts, the joy to be immersed in that kind of love. And I remember just sitting there and looking at Gurudev and just saying, oh, this is what I want. This is what I want. And then him looking at me. Now, many people would have had that experience of getting that personal glance with Gurudev in the audience. Because he had that power. He could be glancing at 10 people, 100 people at once. I don't know. All I know is that he was glancing at me. Very powerful when I had that feeling. And then we went to Bangalore and we spent the winter there. Then we came back. And we were in Vrindavan that year because we had separated from Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti. And Gurudev wanted to have Gaur Purnima in Vrindavan. He'd wanted to do that at least once, he said, for 50 years. So there we were. And then they announced the sannyas people, and Premananda, somebody told me, oh, Premananda has your sticks and cloth. And I said, what sticks and cloth? Oh, for your sannyas. What sannyas? In other words, Gurudev had already arranged it. There's a whole story behind that. But we jump ahead to the meeting where Gurudev is questioning and testing, right? And he asked everybody, and it was back and forth, and he put some doubt in their mind to increase their eagerness. And then he asked me, he said, well, why do you want to take sannyas? I said, I don't want to take sannyas. He said, I don't want to take sannyas, I heard you told me I should take sannyas. And then he said this, and this goes to the point I was making. He said, oh, but you would want it in your heart. Perhaps in your heart you wanted this. And he gives this big smile. And as soon as he said it, I got this instant little vision and remembrance of sitting there at that time, looking at him, thinking, oh, I want this, I want this. He gave me that and he said, that little seed you had, now I'm going to give you what you wanted, even though you think you don't want it. Right? So in our experience in Bhakti, we go through so many hours of the day, we're feeling lazy, distracted, this and that. But if even in class, at Mangal Artik, whatever part of the day it is when you're doing service, you can try to summon up a little greed, a little urgency, right? A sincere prayer. Those are very powerful. Those will take seed, and those are what stimulate our bhakti, right? So, he says, the last part of this section, a man who is always engaged in making money, who desires pratishta, that is name, fame, and all other worldly attainments, who is always busy in earning his livelihood, cannot understand these principles. So, as Prabhupada would say, if you're pounds, shillings, and pence man, it's going to be difficult for you, right? What did Lord Jesus say? It's easier to pass a camel through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to go to the heavenly kingdom because of all these attachments, right? So, still, he's saying, if you're busy with all this, still, I am describing them. He's speaking to all of us kind of people, right? Sitting there and all our attachments. Still, I am describing them. I know that such high-class devotees are very rare, but still I am speaking these things so that you can hear. In the future, you may be fortunate enough to attain that place, Goloka Vrindavan. So there is no difference between the Vrindavan that manifests in a material universe, prakat, and the Vrindavan in the spiritual sky, aprakat. But our eyes, covered by Mahamaya, cannot see this. We have no conception of aprakat lila, only prakat lila. All the leelas in prakat lila, however, are in aprakat lila. And therefore, parakila lila is also there. The root is there. The perverted reflection is in this world. And that means the mundane version of parakya, which we reject. All right, so tomorrow, after laying that foundation, we hear about the three aspects of Radhika and other points of Tattva. So we will stop here. Yes?
What book is this?
This is a series of lectures from a book called Sri Radha Our Supreme Shelter.
Oh, I want to get that book.
Ah, yes, you got to get that book. Ah.
I'm going to order a bunch of copies and donate some to the temple.
It might be Kindle. I got it on Kindle.
I like the book.
Oh, yeah, I like books too.
I'm going to get a bunch and donate some to the temple.
All right. Well, I'm going to close this here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, jai, jai.